Welcome, YouTubers. Welcome to the Whack Garage. And this project is the Fusion Touchless Car Wash. Now, I was interested in the touchless aspect of it more than anything else. So I set out on YouTube to look for some tips. And I was very impressed with some of the builds that were out there. The goal of this build was to make it as compact as possible without taking away from the quality. And I call it the fusion because of the chemical reaction between the water and the resin of the filtration system. Now, I wanted something that was not a bunch of hardware nailed to the wall. And I saw some touchless car wash builds, and they were simple and some complex. And I think anytime you run pipes and break drywall and run electricity, that runs into the complex and expensive realm. Now, some builds were all over the wall in the garage, and they looked like they could do the job, and I suppose some of them did. But I kind of wanted to make it a little fluid. I wanted to put a little flow to it. Now, disclaimer, I'm a little artistically inclined. I like to draw, I like to paint and do things of that nature, combined with a little OCD mentality for symmetry. And I couldn't help myself when it came to taking advantage of the wood canvas. So let's begin. Now, this is the Fusion Touchless Car Wash, and we're going to talk about all of these aspects today. So we'll start at the bottom and we'll work our way to the top. So we have here at the bottom is the hybrid heavy-duty garden hose, and this is where the water is plumbed into the Fusion car wash system. And I could have put PEX pipe and hard pipe everything in, but I decided to go with a nice stiff but flexible garden hose, and it's plumbed all the way to the back to my water softener system, which I'll show you here in a minute. Now, this hose is about 25 feet long. My garage is about 22, 23 feet deep. And if you're going to use a water hose, you don't want to use a water hose that's too long, where it's all wound up and then it runs to your faucet bib. Sure, you can do that and the water's going to run fine, but I figure I just run my hose without the loops and kind of make the travel of the water kind of unobstructed. So now we look here at the fittings that I use for the hose. And as you can see, I shark bit the PEX pipe to a 3/4 to 3/4 NTP. And from that, it goes a male NTP 3/4 to 3/4 FGT. So I'm going to go from a regular tread fitting to a garden hose fitting. So that's what we're looking at here. And inside the female end garden hose fitting is a male GHT. So it comes out to a 3/4 to 3/4 male disconnect NTP to the female 3/4 quick connect. And then it goes into the garden hose. And of course I treaded this in with no plumber's tape. The rule is, if it's got a washer in it, you shouldn't need plumber's tape. Sometimes it's necessary to put plumber's tape on it, as I'll show you later on. Now here we have my water softener unit, and it's a 6-stage water softener unit I kind of pieced together, and I'll have some videos coming out on how I constructed this thing later on. So make sure you subscribe so you can get a notification in your inbox when I post these videos. And as you can see from the gauges, that the water comes out at about 50 psi with no problems. Next we have the Flexzilla 3-foot hose, and I also put a fire hose nozzle on it. And this Flexzilla hose is pretty flexible. I like the flexible idea of it. I looked around on YouTube and I saw some bucket fillers, and this is what this really is. It's a bucket filler, so I can fill the bucket to wash my wheels off, right? And I wanted it flexible. A lot of bucket fillers I saw, they were stiff, and my unit hangs low, which is what I wanted. I wanted it to hang low. The entire Fusion system here, it's low, right? So I wanted a hose that was flexible and that I could roll up and be a little flexible with. Now, I don't usually use this fire hose nozzle. I use it without the fire hose nozzle because water runs faster. I didn't want to mist a bucket to fill up, and I don't want the stream coming out so fast that the water's going to spray everywhere. So to fill a bucket proper, I believe, is to just take that nozzle off and let the bucket fill up like it would normally do. Everything else is just cosmetic. And of course, the green lime color fell in line with my build. And I also plumbed in a faucet bib to the entire system, which is great because I didn't have a faucet on this side of the house. So now I have a faucet. Next, we have the Aquatalife deionized spot-free car rinse unit. Now, you may be asking, it's kind of small. It's small because I wanted to make this thing compact. And they had another one I saw on the Amazon, and I saw some other YouTubers with it. It's a big blue one with wheels on it, which would have worked great. That thing probably would have ran for like 2 or 3 years. My only thing is, like I said, I wanted it compact, and looking at this little area over here next to my truck, I'm gonna need that space for something. And my whack garage is already as crowded as it is. I just wanted to kind of save on a little space. So this Aquatalife was the perfect solution. And the resins in there are blue, and once they need to be changed out, they'll all turn to brown. Now, originally, this is made for an inline hose. The hose goes in one end, and you'll have your sprayer come out the other end. But I took those fittings off and replaced them with SharkBite's 1-inch NTP thread, because that was my build. My build is to use PEX pipe, not to use a garden hose. So that's why I went with the SharkBite 1-inch thread on both ends of the deionized unit. Now, as you can see, the way the piping is set up, I do have a loop in there. I have it set up for bypass. And so some of you that are interested in this system, I have the bypass on there because if I want to save the life of my filtration system, if I want to bypass the filtration system and use regular water, I can do that with my cutoff valves, as you can see. So they're SharkBite 3/4 push connect shutoff valves. So if you want to save the life of this unit, you can use your bypass. And I'll just tell you, the way the Fusion water system is supposed to work is you give it an initial rinse, then you foam it, then you rinse it off, and then you blow dry it if you want to. Now, if you look at the piping system, it goes right underneath the shelf. So let's take a look at the fittings that we have under here. We see that we're shark bit elbowed into a SharkBite 3/4 to 3/4 female NPT. So now we're converting the PEX pipe into a hose fitting. That's all we're doing here. So into the SharkBite, we have a male MPT going into a male GHT 3/4 into the garden hose, or our Flexilla whip. And as you can see from this one, I did use plumber's tape. And I used the plumber's tape on both ends of the male GHT. Again, I went with the Flexilla 3-foot hose in keeping with our color scheme, right? And it goes into the water input of our pressure washer. And on this end, I did not use any plumber's tape. For our shelving here, we got a Rock Point stainless steel shelf, and it's 12 by 24 by 10. So it's 24 inches long. That's a pretty good sized shelf, just in case you ever want to upgrade. And it extends about 12 inches from the wall, which is a good shelf for any size pressure washer. and from the bottom to the top of it, it's about 10 inches. And this shelf was a great alternative to some of the other $69 and up stainless steel shelves I've seen around. In the beginning, I did want a black shelf, but I decided to go with the stainless steel because it just adds a little something different to the build. And where the shelf is attached to the back plate, I have rubber grommets surrounding our screws that goes into the back plate. And what I call back plate is the wood that all the hardware is mounted to. So let's talk about this Mighty Fine Greenworks pressure washer. And I like this pressure washer because it's not loud and it has very little vibration. I was looking at the Archer and some of the other builds out there with pressure washers, and some of those pressure washers were $600 and $700. I'm not paying $600 and $700 for a pressure washer. So I wanted something small, mobile, just in case I wanted to rip it off the wall. And this Greenworks pressure washer here fit the bill. It's 1500 PSI. All I need is 1100 for the car. I'm not trying to peel the paint off of it. And this is one of those pressure washers that shut off when you use it. It's not very expensive. And again, I compared it with the Archer. I saw it on a YouTube video. It's compared with an Archer, and that Archer just bounced around. And there's different things you can do to it to stop it from vibrating. And I'll point some things out later that I did to cut down on the vibration, because I don't want it to fall off and damage some of the pieces that it's attached to and then fall off onto the vehicles. And also, it's simple. One way in, one way out, no other gadgets to look at to confuse you. Now, I did have another pressure washer. I've had this pressure washer for about a year or so, and this is the Greenworks 2300. This will peel the paint off your vehicle, your wheels. It will dechrome them. And there's things you can do to dumb this thing down, but I'm not trying to get all mechanical with this thing like that. But I did assess that I am going to need an outside pressure washer, and that's why I decided not to rip this thing off the chassis and put it on the wall. And I'm not going to do that when, if I do, I'm just going to wind up getting another pressure washer just to do outside chores. So I left it as is. And now let's talk about the rear setup here, my elbow system. If I had not done this, the whip that I have going from the pressure washer to the reel would have chicken winged out, and this thing would have been at an awkward angle. and it would have been to the edge of the shelf there. So I had to develop this rear setup elbow system just so I can just do a hard right turn and go up the back plane to go to my reel. And here it is. Now this thing took some time to do because the elbow here is not easily found if you don't know what you're looking for. And I found some that swiveled, and I found some that were really expensive. They have the British type, the BSPT, I believe it's called. And some folks sell it on their site for like $30. But you can get some imitation BSPTs on Amazon, and they come in a package of 2 for $12. Just throwing that out there. So here you see I went from a M22 to female NTP, coming out of our pressure washer here, going into my elbow, and this is just a regular 3/4 FIP to MIP street elbow. And guess where you can find that at, folks? You can find that at Lowe's. Right there in the garden hose section. And I did put tape on this, of course, because this is an important part right here. You don't want it to have leaks. And then it goes into a Surface Max Pro screw type plug male pipe. And some of these you can find already pre-taped, or there's some kind of glue or fastening on the treads already. But even though they had that, I still did the tape, and I did 6 wraps on every piece of the treading. Now it's going to go into M22 female to female quick connect, and I did this because I wanted to have this North Star pressure washer gauge, and it's rated at 5,000 psi with a 3/8 inch fitting. I just had to have it because, you know, you want to know sometimes if your pressure is low, you want to know where it's starting at. So this is part of troubleshooting. And this is a quick disconnect fitting. And it's also going on the other end, it's going into an M22 male quick disconnect to female NPT going into the whip. So there's a few pieces here, but you get your turn, and if you put the tape on it, you're good to go. Now, I did not have any leaks whatsoever. I was first time go. And the only leak I ever had was when I put that swivel elbow before I tried the street elbow. Don't use swivel, people. And the swivel was rated at a 10,000 psi. So I don't know why it was leaking. Maybe it was a bad one. But it wasn't even worth taking it back to the hardware store. Now this is a simple Yasmatic 2-foot jumper hose rated at 4,000 psi. I did have a 3-foot on there. And why did I have it on there? Just in case I ever wanted to expand. If I dropped this shelf, I would have the inches. Or if I had a strange pressure washer it should fit with no problems. So I still have it, but I traded it out for a 2-footer because I just like the cleanness of the look. I didn't like my hoses chicken winging out to the left or to the right. Next, you have the General Pump reel. This is a great reel. Very inexpensive. This was under $100. It was black, and I like the spool type edges of it. And as you see, I have the hose draped over to the side with no problems. I also looked at the Cox reel. I didn't want to go with the Cox reel because number one, it's blue. And I'm sure they have some other ones out there, as I found out later, but I just like the design of this General Pump. So I did look at the Cox reel, but I didn't like it because it was blue. And I think they have some different colors out there to include black, but like I said, I like this spool style that the General Pump has going on. Now, I have some other videos coming out, and you will see where I kind of couldn't avoid getting the Cox reel, and I'll explain all that stuff there. But for that shop vacuum build, I just had to go with the Cox reel. So stay tuned for videos on that. Subscribe, and you'll get a notification when that video comes out. Next, we have the Flexilla pressure washer hose. This hole has a little roughness to it, and I like it because it's not smooth and it doesn't pick up dirt quite as easy as a smooth hose. Now, this reel is rated at hoses that are at least 100 feet, I think. And this hose that I have on here now is about 65 feet. So you see that there is room, lots of room to add extra hose if needed. Next, we have the Twinkle Star pressure washer gun. And I bought this with a foam cannon kit. And in the foam cannon, it came with a 2.1 orifice, and I changed it out to a 1.1. I was watching a YouTube video where they suggested, it's a very good YouTube video. The guy, that's his business. He's in the business of detailing. And he suggests that you change the orifice out to a 1.1. And of course, I have it connected to a quick disconnect fitting. And it's a great gun. I have no problems with it. And I like the snubby part of it, meaning it doesn't have a wand on it, and it works perfect. Here you see the Starlink foam cannon. And the foam cannon works great with that 1.1 millimeter orifice on it. And my back plane or back plate is connected with 3-inch lag bolts that go straight into the studs. And I'll give you the dimensions of this Fusion Touchless car wash backplane, and it's, well, we'll say about 25 inches wide and about 48 inches long, not counting the filter and the other stuff that's hanging off of it. So if you have studs in your garage near the front by the garage door that are the width of 16 inches, that's the distance between the two bolts there, the two lines of bolts are about 16 inches. So if you got 36 and 24, it won't do. Anything under that should be just fine. So for the back plane, I built it, painted it, mounted it, and I mounted the hardware with the filtering pipes first, then the shelf, then the reel. So what is this empty space here for? Well, it's there for expansion. If I wanted to get a taller pressure washer, I could drop that shelf, cut a little piping away, and drop the shelf, and I can put a taller pressure washer right there. Or I can put a smaller shelf right here in this area and put some towels up or something else. Whatever I want to do, that space is game. Now the Fusion Touchless car wash cannot be complete without something to blow the water off. And here it is, the Ego 765. We have the battery and charger, and we have the blow gun. Now, the battery is good for 90 minutes of continuous use, and the battery is about 7 to 8 pounds, so it's heavy. But the gun itself is weightless, so really you're just walking around with the battery. But the Ego 765 is one of the most powerfulest leaf blowers on the market. It has a rating of 765 CFM. It blows at 200 miles per hour. And I added a stubby nozzle. And this is a great leaf blower. When people see me out there working on my car, they think I have some type of Nerf dart gun or something. And there it is with the Fusion in the background. And it is in keeping with my color schemes. Now, just a disclaimer, I don't know that the leaf blower should be in keeping with your color scheme, but since it was almost there, I just couldn't resist. You see the black, you see the green, and you see the gray that kind of mimics the shelf. Now I did include some lights with Fusion, and I can tie these lights in with Alexa or a phone app. And they come in multiple colors, but in keeping with my color scheme, I have them locked on the current color. So watch this demonstration.
Alexa, turn off tool light.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on tool light.
Okay.
Alexa, turn off fusion.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on fusion.
Okay.
And as I said, Fusion comes in different colors, and you can see it dance to the music, or it can cycle through all the colors or as many colors as you program into it. And there it is, folks. Thanks for watching another episode of the Whack Garage. Now hit the like button and subscribe to get notified of my new Whack Garage ideas. View upgrades to my cars and other Whack Garage projects, to include my wide body kit project for my 981 Porsche. You'll love it. Wheels from my M3. Full F-150 rebuild. Addition of a garage utility sink. That's going to be nice. And videos of my shop vac install, my water softener unit, and the bin pack lift, and some of the things I've added to it just to make it a little bit more friendly. And I'll also upload some videos to give you a montage of how far the Whack Garage has come from just 3 months ago. And that was really whack. Thanks again, folks. And come by and see me again.